Tesla CEO and co-head of the new Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk, is calling for the elimination of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, writing on X, quote, delete CFPB. There are too many duplicative regulatory agencies. The CFPB was created as part of the 2010 Dodd-Frank Act after the financial crisis by Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren to oversee parts of the financial industry that interact with consumers. Some say the agency is highly politicized, damaging and unaccountable. During Trump's first term, he took steps to neutralize this agency, easing its enforcement of the banks. Musk also is asking users on X if the IRS should be, quote, deleted after the agency said its enforcement fund is $20 billion short after budget cuts. Biden's Deputy Treasury Secretary urging Congress to, quote, pay up. You can see in that poll, over 60% of X users said they think the agency's budget should be deleted. John Lonsky, your reaction to that. Let's start with the IRS.
Okay, the IRS could be run more efficiently without any question. Maybe their technology is dated. They could update in that sense and help save money and better serve the American people. I don't know about completely eliminating the IRS. What's going to take its place? My goodness. What are you going to have? Private tax collectors like they did back in biblical times? I think
what he's talking about is eliminating Elizabeth Warren.
Right.
We're talking about the CPFB. So, I mean, that's okay. Elizabeth Warren, she came to fame. She became, Miss TV darling, so she thinks, after the financial crisis. Remember this, okay? I remember this. But that's all she's been able to hang her hat on. That was the financial crisis was 2007, 2008. We have moved on. I don't think that she has. And I would argue that there's enough regulation on the books with the banking industry that you actually could eliminate that agency.
It's the best thing in my 20-year career in government, I've seen this many, many times. And this is a very healthy discussion to have right now. Yeah. And what it does is it says to the existing agency, so how are you going to justify your existence? Sing for your supper. But then it also begs the other question. If you eliminated it, would you need to replace it? And that's really the zero-sum game that you have to take a look at. What are we going to do if we don't have this functionality? But to your point, Cheryl, this is an agency that has all of the regulatory responsibilities handled by other agencies. It's not like if this goes away, suddenly the U.S. consumer is going to walk into a bank and say, pay us 20% interest. No, that's not going to happen.
I think Mike is making a great point. What he's speaking about is redundancy in the federal government. Right. Yeah. When we have redundancy in the private sector and corporations, what happens? Certain departments, jobs get eliminated. And maybe there is room for a lot of cutting as far as agencies are concerned and individuals.
Well, I mean, look, I got to go back to this Elizabeth Warren thing because her entire political mantra has been greedy corporate. She's gone after the banking sector for nearly 20 years now. And I think that Musk makes a great point that maybe time is up for her. Now, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget is trying to help DOJ make cuts. They say the federal deficit could be slashed by $1.4 trillion over the next decade by reversing some of President Biden's executive actions. Now, their report notes, unlike most reduction measures, reversing costly executive actions would not require congressional action, true, and could be done through the rulemaking process. The CRFB says up to $550 billion can be saved by eliminating Biden's plans to forgive student loan debt, including the Save Income-Driven Repayment Program, which could save up to $275 billion alone. $385 billion could be saved by targeting Biden's health care executive actions, $180 billion by reversing changes to the SNAP food stamp program, $150 billion from gutting vehicle carbon emission rules. That's a long list, John Lonsky.
That is a long list, and unfortunately, you're probably going to get some opposition because there are people that are benefiting from these regulations, okay? They're benefiting from this spending. They don't want to give it up.
As in private businesses and industries?
Yeah,
or are you talking about government employees?
The auto industry has perhaps spent something like $120 billion on investments in being able to produce EVs and the batteries that go into electric vehicles. They're not going to want to write off $120 billion all that quickly. So
the EV mandates, though, no one has bought electric cars. The consumers rejected it. The EV mandates are just nothing but, I think, just government handouts and you know who's not benefiting from that? Elon Musk, of all people.
Yeah, he's going ahead and he's pushing for the elimination of the subsidies that buyers of electric vehicles get. So this, I mean, you can't say that he's doing this for his own benefit. That's important to note. He's trying to help the United States out, and maybe with his genius, he could go ahead and pull something off where we do get this $1.4 trillion reduction in the deficit over 10 years.
I mean, $2 trillion. I mean, that's what when Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk first started talking about this, it was $2 trillion. Now, the mainstream media is scoffing at them.
So what shouldn't be lost is their approach. So notice how they're going after executive orders, as opposed to we're going to try to get the Congress to reject what they've done beforehand. So because they can go, if you go after Congress and you try to say, pass a law that takes out these existing laws, very, very hard to do. Yeah. Whereas if you go into the executive orders, Donald Trump comes in and says, I can do this unilaterally. Obviously, he'll need support from the Congress.
Fiscal responsibility in Washington. But can't say it enough, guys.
Right.
Fiscal responsibility. Let's go.